folks, welcome to another episode of Fallen Badge. Our episode today is going to be the murder of Sergeant Greg Moore, Coeur d'Alene Police Department, Idaho. Now, our story is going to begin on April 24th, 2015. Two meth heads, whose names are not worthy of mentioning in this show, they're on a car burglary spree around the area of Post Falls, Idaho. Now, one of the cars that they got into, it had a Glock 9mm pistol in it. So now they took that pistol and they traded it for some meth. Don't know exactly who they sold it to, but we know it ended up in the hands of a man who was going to use it to kill a police officer. It's May 5th, 2015. Sergeant Moore is out patrolling around. It's probably somewhere around 1:30 or so. Now, they got a subdivision up there west of Highway 95 that they've been having car break-ins. So he's over there checking those neighborhoods. Now, you figure that time of the morning, pretty easy to spot somebody suspicious, because anybody out walking around in that neighborhood is definitely suspicious. Most people don't go walking for their health at 1:30 in the morning. Now, Sergeant Moore, he gets over in the 2800 block of Wilbur Avenue, and he sees a male white wearing all dark clothes, walking. Sergeant Moore gets out of his squad car. Now, the fella's got his hands in his jacket pockets, which, of course, it's cold. Now, they have some kind of an interaction. Sergeant Moore asked for the suspicious person. He asked for his driver's license. And the male, he gives Sergeant Moore his driver's license. Sergeant Moore gets on his radio and he calls dispatch. And he gives them this suspicious male's information. Ask him to check him for warrants. Now, the dispatcher, she calls back, but she can't get Sergeant Moore to answer. So, of course, cars start heading that way. But now then a citizen calls in, says that they heard some kind of commotion outside. One of them looked out and there was a man standing over Sergeant Moore. And then that man got in Sergeant Moore's patrol car and took off. Now they know the fella's name now because they got his information. Now they load Sergeant Moore up in a ambulance and they take him to the hospital. Now, Sergeant Moore received one gunshot wound to the mouth, so he's extremely critical. They find the suspect's driver's license in Sergeant Moore's pocket at the hospital. Now, they review body cam footage from Sergeant Moore's camera. Shows the interaction. So Sergeant Moore gets shot. He goes down. And then you see the suspect leaning over Sergeant Moore, going through his pockets and whatnot. Then you hear the squad car take off and leave the area. Now, while Sergeant Moore is slowly dying at the hospital, the suspect is left the area westbound in the stolen squad car. Now, Post Falls police, they're listening to their radios and their scanners, and they know what's happened. So they're on the lookout for the Coeur d'Alene squad car. But one of their officers is at the intersection of North McGuire Road and West Celtis Road, and he sees a Coeur d'Alene squad car going by at about 90 miles an hour westbound. Well, they get in a short pursuit, and then they lose sight of him. So they get to looking around for him. And what he's done is he stayed on West Celtis Way till he got down to North Beck Road. Then he hung a left and went southbound. Now, for whatever reason, he decided to leave the squad car, so he bailed out of the squad car and left it parked in the area of West Point Parkway and North Beck Road. Now, once they found the car, which didn't take too long, they started setting up a perimeter. Now, of course, they had contacted Washington State authorities, and they were lined up across the state line, going to make sure this fella didn't get creeping into their state, and if so, they were going to catch him or kill him. So they got the canines out, and they were tracking, seeing if their dogs could pick up a scent. They even had their armored car. I don't know whose agency that was, but they brought it out. And they got around there by the Walmart. Now, the Walmart's just right there where the bailout point is, because the car was sitting somewhere right around that Cisco plant there, and the Walmart's just west of that. Well, now they finally located him. He was hiding up in the trailer, as in a tractor trailer rig. He's up in there hiding, and he didn't want to come out. Now, they knew he'd left his pistol on the scene where he'd shot Sergeant Moore, but they also knew that Sergeant Moore's pistol and 2 magazines on his belt were missing, so they knew his arm. Well, he didn't want to come out from underneath the rig because he's up where the wheels are at, up there on the axle. So they put the dog on him. Then he fights the dog, and a little bit of a tussle, but finally he gets drug out from underneath the trailer, and sadly, he's taken into custody alive. Now, they take him back to Coeur d'Alene and they put him in jail. They charge him with, at the time, was attempted first-degree murder, and aggravated robbery, and assortment of charges. Now, that evening, Sergeant Moore, he dies at the hospital. So then they upped the charges to murder. We used to say in the bureau that sometimes catching a bad guy is a lot easier than prosecuting them. There's a lot of work goes into presenting a case, a successful prosecution. There was a lot of hard work after Sergeant Moore had died. Now, they had the trial fairly quickly for the defendant. And evidently it was a very good case. Because the jury pretty well found him guilty of everything that he was charged with. Now, he was sentenced to die for murdering Sergeant Moore. And that sentence was five years ago, I believe 2017. Now, I'm putting little stock in the likelihood that the defendant in this case will be executed. But just what little research I did on him, he certainly needs to be put to sleep. Or lined up in front of a firing squad. Sadly, I don't think that's going to happen. Sergeant Moore was a far better man in life than this poor, pitiful excuse for a man was. And one day that evil man will die, and Sergeant Moore will still be the better man. Sergeant Gregory King Moore. End of watch, May 5th, 2015.